Now we're live.
Now
it
we're live.
took like 10 seconds to go live, so we're live. We're a little bit behind, it's my fault. I had a tournament to run, so we've had to, juggle things behind the scenes. But we're here now, which is the important part, and we're super excited to have Mike Atkins join us from Dash 28, and we're going to chat about the U.S. Masters brand new tool, which is going to be a tournament tracking software. Scoring for all the region. I mean, it's like the one-stop destination for the good players in the country, and the ones that want to be the good players.
That's right.
Want to be good players.
It gives you a map. Like, this is what you got to do to be the next Alex Coos, right?
Hold on.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I've yet to qualify for Masters, so I don't think I'm the benchmark.
Okay. Well, where do you guys want to start? I mean, we've got Matt. We got Mike here. Where do you guys want to start?
Well, we need to do another Mantic voucher giveaway. So should we do that first?
I think so. And just a reminder, if you don't listen to this, you might win and never know it.
Yep.
So
previous winners, at least one has reached out to us, but not everyone.
Yeah. Well, we've given one to Rick Hoy. Jake
Yep.
Cherapika gave me a very I won. And I was, I was close. It was close, man. It was like almost that time where I'm like, I'm going to put it back in the sack. But
so who's not contacted us?
Nick Brooks.
Nick Brooks.
Nick Brooks from last week. So,
right.
Nick, if you have any friends or if any of your friends are listening,
if anyone knows Nick Brooks or
knows
where Nick Brooks
he's in Texas, so I can't imagine that no one,
Well, I would have thought if he's in Texas, he wouldn't have any friends.
Well, his friends are only in Texas. I think that's the way it works.
All right. Well, I've had to do multiple spin actions on my computer today because we've got multiple prizes to give away. So let me spin for the winner. And that annoying spinning sound's only happening in my ear, not any of yours.
That Jeopardy sound.
Yeah.
And do you know what? It came up Nick Brooks again, so I'm going to have to respin. I didn't delete him from last time.
It's rigged.
Oh, there you go, Donnie Crosh.
Oh, he was commenting earlier on your Kings of Memphis post, so we know he's around tonight.
Let's double check and make sure we're live. Austin Casey just DM me and said, "You guys aren't on yet."
No, so, people are commenting.
Okay, so we're just saying the shirtless wonder doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good.
Technology.
Yeah. Might have a little bit of lag or something.
Yeah. Well, he lives in the bad part of Memphis, so internet may be sketchy there, and it just takes a little longer.
Sounds like everything is sketchy there. Really.
That's
well,
true.
he'd be the sketchiest thing there, I would say. Yeah.
I've heard his optional.
I've heard his Walmart stories.
Someone said, not everyone's allowing Facebook access to StreamYard because there's people commenting and I can't see who there is.
Right. So as a reminder, you need to make sure you grant access so we can see your name in our chat.
Or just watch it on YouTube.
Which is a good thing anyways, because we don't have a lot of people subscribing in YouTube. So, and we're live on YouTube.
Subscribe.
So, yeah, we only have 129 subscribers on YouTube. So it would be awesome to have a few more people join over. So, all right. Well, so did you do the raffle and who won?
Yeah. Donnie Cross.
All right. So Donnie, just DM me tomorrow and I'll get your information and I'll need your information. I'm just going to send you the code and you can spend the $100 however you want.
You can give him the information if you wish, Donnie, but we actually, it's not necessary.
Exactly. Connor Murphy did get my prize package that I sent him. So that was cool. So he's got his, and here's a funny thing that Jake has. See, listen, right? So like a year ago, Jake won something from me and I didn't send it. Right. And every month I'm like, I'm going to send it. I sent it and I didn't say anything. So I'm curious when he finally gets it to hear if he's, look at that. You did send me. I'm thinking about it. I'm just hoping I sent him what I thought that he won. I sent him a package. But I'm not 100% sure what's in the package. Anyways,
what's in the box? What's in the box, Jake?
So, all right. Well, awesome. We want to probably get into chatting about the U.S. Masters website.
Sure.
And what I can do is I can bring it up. I can share the screen. So yeah, share screen.
So there hasn't really been a consolidated website with all this information before, and it's kind of just been scattered around in different areas, right?
Absolutely. Mike, maybe that's probably a good starting point. Talk to us, what the landscape looked before, where you got the impetus for the idea. And,
yeah, sure.
Your idea, because you're the big idea man.
I'm the big idea man. Yeah. So before anyone asks, yes, I have seen Nick Williams's UK Masters site, and that was actually part of the impetus because I don't know if anybody's looked at it. It's kowmasters.com. It looks really good. If you look at it, you will see that we have similar formatting or similar types of content on it because Nick's site is really good. And when I saw it, I was like, we should have something like that for the US. It's kind of got everything you would want. So yeah. Shout out to Nick for getting the UK site going a while back and making me scratch my head and go, wait, why don't we have one of those? And I think the Masters had like a Facebook page for a while, and there may have been a website way back in the day or something, but it's been gone for a while. And yeah, it's been a little hard to find information unless you know someone who knows someone or knows someone on the Masters Council or you're going or whatever. I was actually on the Cowdemic podcast, which is the Argentinian guys, Ezekiel and those dudes. And I was supposed to talk to them about like Dash 28, but we ended up talking about the U.S. Masters for like half of the episode because they had so many questions about it because they're like, you guys talk about it all the time, but there's nowhere to find out anything about it. You either have to go there live or be at tournaments and talk to people that are going or stuff like that. So I was like, oh yeah, I guess it might be nice if there was easy to find information on it. And so kind of those couple things together, and then talking to like Mike Grant about like what the Kings of War community is kind of missing that other games have and stuff like that. It kind of occurred to me like there should be like one place to find like all the rankings. Like we had the KOW tournament site. And just like information about the Masters and how to qualify and who the reps are and just kind of all of it in one easy to find, easy to reference, up to date place. And I figured, rather than sit around and wonder why the Masters Council hasn't built it, I should just ask if they would let me build it. And they talked about it at this year's Masters and said yes. And that was a couple of weeks ago. And now it's done. And here it is.
We do things fast in the United States. Yep. Make a decision and we move on. Let's go.
Yep.
Well, do you want to walk us through the website? What are some of the features you want to point out?
Sure. So so right here on the front page, you've got whatever the most recent kind of blog update is right there at the top with a nice banner image. And right now that's just a welcome article. There was another article I did that just has like the high level results from this past Masters from a few weeks ago. Coming down the page, there's of course kind of this event calendar in brief right in the middle there that's got the upcoming events for the next, I think, 3 or 4 months. And you can click on those and they'll bring up the details for each event in a light box. Yep, like that. And that should tell you how to get in touch with the TO, how to register, how to find the tournament site. I decided to go with whoever's in first place in all the regions for the rankings for the front page. And maybe over the course of the year we'll change that a little bit as the scores change. Maybe there's something else that would be more interesting or relevant for people there. Go ahead and click on full rankings. Let's go ahead and check those out. So those are getting updated automatically nightly, basically, whenever the reps update things. Obviously, there aren't events every day, so there isn't going to be daily changes, but certainly within like a couple of days of a tournament happening, the rankings should get updated to reflect that. There's a drop down at the top. You can pick which region you want to see, and it'll load them up automatically.
I don't know why I picked Southeast. We already knew it was on the top.
I don't know why. Yep, there's Jeff. And right now we just have the one season, but the idea will be like when the Master season ends, we'll just roll that to a previous season, and you'll be able to pick previous seasons from the drop down and go back and see. And as you can see there, the top 8 spots are in bold. So that's, if the Masters were to be held today, those would be the 8 people that qualify because they're the top 8. There was already a website for U.S. tournaments. That is an excellent question. It was kowtournaments.com. And big shout out to Brian Verdier for building it and maintaining it for the past several years. but he had decided that he didn't want to keep maintaining it, and he'd actually handed it off to Andrew Minton, who I think is also taking over TO duties for Bison Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
And he really didn't want to run it either. So I just asked them, like, hey, is it okay if I just like redirect that site to the new master site, like export the existing events, re-import them over here, and just kind of keep going. So yeah, the KOW tournament site is not a thing anymore. The domain name for it actually redirects to this site. And so going forward, this will be the place to come to check out the event calendar. So go ahead and click on events, Rob, and we show them the event calendar. Yeah, and so this is where you can submit. You'll see over there on the left, there's a submit your event link. If you want to, if you're running an event, and it'll go there. And this is a similar format to what the old site was, because I basically didn't feel like reinventing the wheel.
It works. It's great.
It worked. It worked really well. Since they basically let me just go take a look at how that existing site was built, I just sort of moved it all over. So it should feel really familiar to everyone. It should work pretty similarly. And this shows you, like the upcoming year's event calendar. There's a little filter widget right there at the top if you want to filter by region. So if you just want to see the ones in your region, you can do that.
Oh, that's fancy. That's fancy. Hey, Matt, do you guys have anything like this in Australia?
I attempted it for a while, but then honestly, my mojo ran out for it. And just at the moment, not enough's happening. But yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great idea. But it looks like Mike's just trying to keep doing things that keep him interested in retirement.
Basically, yeah. Next project. Yes, you can contact the regional chairs. There's a contact form. You can pick who you want to get in touch with there. There's an alias for all the regional chairs, or the site admin if there's a bug or there's some missing information you want to help fill in or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The about page has information about how the council is structured and who the reps are, and like what all the regions are. I'd update the region map because some of the states had been traded around since the last time the map had been updated, so I got to
Mike
change
Rossi is so sketchy. Him and Jake are wheeling and dealing states.
The map is incomplete, Mike. You do.
Yeah, it doesn't have Canada. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know
Not
how
from a
much of
US
Canada has actually been claimed by which U.S. region.
So
I
pretty
didn't
much
want to.
just the Northeast and the Pacific Northwest.
I think it's within
Right.
driving distance of Hamilton is Northeast, and then
Sure.
What I'd like to know is, so which regions have been traded? Who's the what? Who are the regions that no one wants?
I think it was New Jersey. We traded New Jersey and Pennsylvania, didn't we?
Yeah.
For Canada.
New Jersey and Pennsylvania got traded to the Mid-Atlantic for Canada because a lot of I think the regions were originally laid out for where the big pockets of Warhammer Fantasy players were, and those didn't always make sense going forward for where the Kings of War players were, because a lot of the like Pennsylvania and Jersey Kings of War players are in the southern parts of those states, so they're a lot closer to Maryland and Virginia and West Virginia. So they would end up coming to more of our events than driving all the way up to New York or Connecticut or wherever to play with the Northeast guys. So they're like, well, it's better for us if we go to the Mid-Atlantic events, and then you guys can have Canada because they're up there closer to you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yep. And then there's some info on previous masters. Hopefully I have all that info correct. If I've got anybody wrong in terms of like who won what or who the TOs were, somebody just let me know and I'll fix it. There should be lists from at least the last several masters and maybe some videos if anybody live streamed them. I know that some of the 2020 games were live streamed, but I don't know where the URL is. So if anybody knows where those ended up, let me know and I'll put them there. I also don't have any photos from that one for some reason. Even though I was there, I took like 0 photos the entire weekend, so I had nothing to put up. I swiped a bunch of Rob's photos for the 2021 one. Those were great. So there's a whole big photo album there.
That's awesome.
And so just going forward, you'll be able to come in and see like every year, like where was the Masters that year, who won, who ran it. If the full results are still available, or the lists are still available, or there were live streams, you should be able to find all of them there in one place. And again, I know I'm missing a couple of blanks in a couple of places here. So if anybody wants to point out things that I'm missing, feel free to use the contact form and send it to the site admin, and I'll fill it in.
I feel like Mike Grant has a lot of photos from last year. I think.
Yeah, and I've got tons of stuff from 2017. So we'll that's just a general call to the community. if you guys got some cool content about Masters, send it to Mike so he can sift through all the data and find the cherries to put in here.
Yep. We'll just
send him as much data as you've got. Just send it to him, flood him. He just wants stuff to do.
Don't ask what I'm going to do with it. Don't ask if I have a monetization plan or privacy policy. These are not important details.
Yeah, Mike, just thanks very much, though. This is something that's been needed for the entire length of even before Kings of War, the Switch. We have not had this. And, we appreciate your technical savvy and your big ideas, because this is going to help people that maybe are just getting into the scene and they want to know more. I answer a lot of emails and a lot of DMs. Hey, and I try to point people to the right Facebook group, but having one port of call for the U.S. Masters is the right answer. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And I hope it's going to help people get involved in events. I think being able to see the rankings from all the different regions will be useful, because not every region kind of made them really easily available before I did this. Like, some people didn't know where to go to find out who was in the lead, or and when you're looking at competitive events, you're like, should I bother going to this event? Like, knowing where you are in the rankings, knowing if you're in the running for a spot for the Masters, like, those are things that have influenced me to go to some events that normally I would have been like, well, I won't bother going to that. It's like, oh, but I'm so close. I'm in like 7th place. If I don't go, somebody else might go and get more points. Whereas if I'm there, I can try to keep them boxed out. And also, like, it gives you a little more motivation. It kind of makes it like your tournament season is a whole season instead of just a bunch of discrete events,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm super excited to see this, grow and become a thing. And Matt, Alex, you guys got anything to chime in?
I think that's a great resource. I think every scene could use a resource like that. And, great work, Mike. Always doing more for the community.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, because I know Mike Rossi works really hard for our region, but like our standings were like a photo, like a picture of an Excel printout, after every tournament, like a week after every tournament, which is, if you're part of the Northeast page and you're paying attention, it's good, but there's no like easy access resource like this, or there wasn't, right?
There wasn't, and now it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, exactly. Awesome. Yeah. Like I was very worried that like each regional rep was going to have their own like archaic way of calculating the rankings or storing them or publishing them or whatever. And I was going to have to write a whole bunch of different like data fetchers or parsers or whatever, but it turned out that most folks just had them in Google spreadsheets, which are really easy to work with. And there were only a couple that I had to be like, hey, so can you just put that in a Google spreadsheet for me, or send it to me and I'll do it, or something like that. So like, yeah, it actually wasn't as hard as I was expecting that it might be. Like it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and I think it's great that it's like just combining it with just the overall tournament like listings, like where all the tournaments and all the contact info, like just having it all in one place just makes sense.
Yeah.
And the best thing is no Canada on the map.
Well, yeah. We're flying under the radar. We're the stealth region, the shadow region.
You're like the Tasmania of Australia. You basically don't exist. Yeah.
There's also no Alaska and no Hawaii on the map either, even though I'm pretty sure they are technically parts of a couple of regions. So
yeah.
I at least put Alaska and Hawaii in the chart with all the states listed for the regions that they're in, but I didn't feel like trying to muck with the map graphic too much. That might be a project for the future.
Yeah, I know Mike Rossi has the geographic line of where in Ontario is Northeast and where would be Midwest, but I think it's close to to Kitchener or like London. If those mean nothing to you, I know that, but.
They're towns of Canada. I know that.
Yeah, they're not far from here. So,
well, awesome.
I think that was the deal.
Mike, anything else you want to add? What's going on in Dash 28? I know you've been keeping it busy. Yeah.
So, a couple things in Dash 28. One thing that you guys will find interesting is, of course, the shirts that you guys had designed that we are selling in our shop for you guys. I'm happy to tell you guys we have sold 57 shirts. Which is a lot.
That's awesome.
Nice. And you're posting one to Australia to me very soon.
Yeah,
they're going to charity, which is awesome.
I'm going to release the carrier pigeon and point him in your direction tomorrow, and we'll see how long it takes him to get there. And I need to do the exact math, but I think just I'm just gonna like round up the donation to like $250 because it's in that neighborhood. In terms of the proceeds raised from the shirt sales that we're going to donate on Jesse's behalf to the ASPCA of like Charleston, West Virginia, I think was the one you guys picked.
Yep.
So there's that. Other big news, like Dash 28 actually just had its highest traffic month ever in July.
Well
we cracked 5,000 unique visitors for the first time, and had something like 22,000 raw page views, which was over our previous record that was just over like 20K. So yeah, it was a huge month. Like the beginner's guide article to balanced list building, like it was very popular, and all the Masters coverage, of course, like drew a lot of eyeballs. So yeah, like everything's going great. Like
Yeah,
killing
you're
it.
almost as popular as us.
Getting there.
The Masters
Getting there.
content was great, actually. Like, it was a good
So-
place to just kind of go for,
I just got a DM from Nick Brooks. So it
Oh.
turns out Felix is watching, and Nick put a little post on Fanatics about a Twilight Kin list, and Felix is like, "Hey, bro, you want $100? You need to let them know." So a week
Nice.
late, but we have our third winner. I have to send him the code after the show. So
Well done, Nick. But you're not a true fan.
no,
Yeah.
he didn't really earn it. Does it feel? It feels a little empty
Yeah.
to me.
I almost feel like we should withdraw it.
I feel like if you don't claim it by the time we go on air again, it just goes back into the pot.
Well, he's not.
We'll
gonna
let,
watch,
we'll let
let's
this
be
one.
honest.
We'll let this one slide. We'll
Yeah.
let this one slide.
Well, we're gonna pick another
That's
one.
fair
tonight,
warning,
right?
Johnny. Fair warning.
It's funny. I was just looking at. I posted some results from Kings of Memphis, and I just took a screenshot, but of course I didn't even sort it. I'm like, oh, come on. So, it's the list there, but come on, what a rookie mistake.
Get
But
real.
at least I posted it. There's some tournaments that take like 2 days to put their stuff up. So,
Yeah,
good pick.
Warscore.net being gone has really thrown a wrench into a lot of like
TO.
So let's talk about
tabletop
that.
TO.
Tabletop.to. It's way better than War Score.
Yeah, so I used that this
It's
weekend.
so
I had a
much
great time.
better.
Yeah,
Yep.
So much
I still
better.
we probably need to reach out though, and I don't know. There's probably some things we can do to make it.
If we do, like I was noticing your score sheet, Rob, and I think it'd be easy to get him to add an extra column of having sports and hobby columns when we select our, if we want.
Yep.
That'd totally be easy. I can reach out to him and ask if he can do that.
and the TO approval step for pairings before they go out to all the players.
Yeah, so the funny story last night, right? So I for round 5 I put them out, and then I just wanted to go through them and check them, but they're live as soon as you you make the matchups, they're there. It's like, well, what if you have a mix up? What if if you've got 5 guys at 45 points and 2 clubmates are playing? Well, I want to switch that. I don't want if I can avoid putting a match, having you play your buddy and you're at the same points and there's someone else I can put you against. But to
This
your
is me
point,
making
Mike,
notes.
yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Mike.
Mm.
It's a good tip. Mike, anything else you want to share?
No, I don't think so. Just thanks for continuing to make content and experimenting with new formats, and also thanks Rob for giving me the opportunity to make the Masters site.
That wasn't me. You brought up the idea. It was good timing, right? Because Alex Chavez, the Mid-Atlantic chair. He's not extroverted. Is the best thing I can say, right?
Sure.
So I have a proposal for the committee. Can we talk about it? So yeah, but yes, and once the idea came out, it was obvious. It was unanimous. Yeah, absolutely. We need this tool. Right. Oh, we have this person that's retired that has all this extra time and energy to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, the UK has Nick. We've got Mike. So
there you go.
And I think in that comparison, we win. Let's be honest.
It's close.
Is it?
Well, Mike, thanks for joining.
I don't want to have to play him on Universal Battle to prove that or anything.
Exactly.
No, you gotta
I appreciate
a knife fight in an alley. That's how you prove it.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time to walk us through the new website, and we're really excited. Absolutely. But by the way, what's the easiest way for them to reach out to you? Use the contact.
If they use Yeah, if you go to the contact form, there's just a site admin is the default one you can pick, and that'll email to me. So that's probably the best way to get in touch with me for stuff specific to this site.
Well, Mode says, did you? And of course, Matt probably put that comment up.
Oh yeah,
right?
Matt's in
That's
charge
not
of the
Alex.
comments.
Yeah, he's not
That's not
Alex.
me.
That's not Alex. So,
Me?
but Mode, you are right. You do have Matt, the Wonder Kid, right? So,
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks so much. We really
Thanks for
appreciate you
coming
coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. See you guys next time.
See you, mate.
Have a great night.
So before we move on, should we draw the Mark Zielinski Prize, the Westphalia Prize?
I think we should.
Yes.
We should. Now, I had to spend this morning putting 84 names into a random name picker because that's how many wanted to win this Westphalia Prize.
Well, it's
So-
popular, right? Super popular.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good
Super
prize.
popular.
Yeah.
All right. So here I'm going to spin my other random name picker. Just do some dancing while we wait.
So if we still have viewers after that,
Yeah.
Well,
John A. Smith. So John A. Smith, whoever you are, there's one or
So-
two John Smiths around, I think. So yeah.
So are we
Thankfully
saying
we
he
had
needs
the
to
A there to
contact Mark?
differentiate.
So you need to
Contact Mark Zielinski
Yeah,
on Facebook.
DM Mark Zielinski and say, "Hey, I'm the winner."
Yeah.
I'm sure Mark's watching, so Mark's probably writing it down.
Not John B. Smith or C. Smith, John A. Smith.
Right.
John A.
John A.
Well, I think what we're going to chat about next is we're going to chat about Kings of Memphis. That sounds fake.
It's true, Mike.
That's fantastic.
Matt's in charge, so it's probably not. It's not official. So we have to.
Once he stops showing his screen, you can't really trust
Yeah.
it. So,
Oh, I just realized all the names were John Smith.
Matt has
Well-
registered a John Smith email as well.
So what we're going to do next is we're going to talk a little bit about Kings of Memphis, and I've got some guests that are going to join us. The proprietor of Warm Hobbies. I've reached out to the best sports player, and maybe the Shirtless Wonder will make an appearance
Oh, no.
if the technologically,
Austin's not coming on, is
if
he?
it works.
No,
But let's
not
bring
Austin.
Mike in first. Mike, welcome to the show.
What's up? How are you guys
Good
doing?
evening.
We're doing fantastic.
Doing
So
great.
They're
You know-
famous, Mike. So
Oh, and-
famous.
we're R-rated, but he has Shitless Wonder on here as his name instead of Shirtless.
Austin, you wrote shitless instead of shirtless.
I mean, you can't make it up. Welcome to the show, Austin. Let me see if we're gonna get
There's
Taylor to join us as
The
well.
one and only. The one and only.
Oh God. Well, let me
The
give you guys a
shirtless
little,
wonder.
Dude, can you read your name, Austin?
Just do some.
You're right.
Do some
You've muted
proofreading.
yourself, Austin.
Oh gosh, bless it. You
No
can't make
shirt,
that
no
kind of
shirt,
stuff
no
up.
mic, no problems.
You can't make that stuff up, man. You can't make that stuff up. I mean, all right, and we've got Taylor Gwillem joining us as well. So, all right, well, to start off, I'll
I've
give a
got a
little
mess back
background. Give a little background on the event itself, and then maybe we'll go around and we'll talk to Mike and we'll talk about how the venue supported it, and then we'll talk to a couple of the combatants. We got Taylor and Austin that were both there. So
the shitless wonder.
Oh God, that's just it's priceless. I hope people appreciate what we go through for you. But so those probably longtime listeners know that we ran the Blue Sea Brawl for 3 years. It didn't happen this year for or last year. I can't remember. It's the COVID thing's a blur. But we did run it for 3 years. And after 3 years, I was kind of having fatigue. I was like, you know what? I did it. Like I ran a big 2J GT, with the doubles event. It was cool. It was fluffy. It was fun. But I'm kind of tired of that. And then also it was tied to also losing the venue, which in my mind, the venue kind of made the event, right? It was the Rat House. Those know, Chris Gidney, one of our club mates, had a giant studio space that we were able to put 8 tables in. It was awesome. And it was, it was a party atmosphere. Once we kind of lost that venue, I was kind of like, kind of lost the mojo. And so I handed off the reins to the Blue Sea Brawlers, and they'll probably continue that next year with something, right, in that same format. It's a fluff. I don't know how, he's so distracting, man.
Isn't he?
Yeah, he's so distracting. But anyways, so
Takes your breath
come
away.
around now that we're kind of coming out of God forbid, we're kind of coming out, fingers crossed. We're coming out of COVID at the beginning of this year, right? Things are getting better. We're opening back up. And I just, I had the itch like, all right, well, Rob is not known for someone that he's going to go change it's going to be shirtless wonder. And maybe he'll even have his shirt on when he comes back.
Don't hold your breath.
Look at that. Oh, geez.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my God.
Oh, geez. Okay. Sorry, fans. But anyways, so I was thinking
The real After Dark.
No, geez. I'm going to run an event that's not really a Rob type event. So a very soft score, low soft score in terms of contribution to overall. So it's really about beating people on the table. But you still have to be a reasonable dude or girl, and you still have to be able to have a painted army. Yeah, I know, Mo. General Gaddafi. Yeah, it cannot be unseen. It cannot be unseen. So basically, that was kind of the impetus of it. And God, Mike, that was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I was like, let's run a tournament. And you were like, yeah, all right. Talk.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. You were like, let's do this tournament. I was like, all right, we'll just do like, a 3-round event. Cool. No, let's do a 2-day. I'm like, we got like a month and a half. Like, what are you thinking? So, and then you're like, oh, it's after Masters. I'm like, is that the best time to run a tournament? Like, I don't know. But yeah, Rob was like, let's do it. So I said, well, we got the table space. We've got, a good league that's going. So we had I think we had 16 to 18 people in a slow grow league. And it was right up until the end of that it almost worked naturally to get to it. So I was like, well, if we don't get anybody from out of town, then at least this will be a good, icing on the cake of the league, let everybody kind of, play in a tournament, experience that. And I'd say, Rob, what do you think? I'd say majority of the guys that played in the league were all brand new players for the most part.
Yeah.
Within
3 to 4 months. Taylor's one of them, right? 3 to 4 months, and you're unusual, Taylor, in that you didn't play any other tabletop games except for 40. I guess you did have 40K.
I played 3 games of 40K, 1 demo game, and 2 that I still don't understand the rules for. So, you guys can hear me good, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
this might get you
clear.
Perfect. But yeah, and I started picking up 40K. I played a couple games of that, and then, Rob is in here, and he's like, "Oh, all this energy is like we're doing this Kings of War stuff," and I see all these posts, and I see all these cool bases, and he's like, "Here's what you should get. You should buy this. You should buy," and I've bought many things because of Rob's advice, including Armada stuff. So I'm like super all of my effort is going into Kings of War right now. A little bit of 40K on the side, but mostly 90% Kings of War.
Taylor, tell me, I've got a question for
Rob
you as
is
a new
very
player.
good. Oh.
Yep. Sorry, Alex.
No,
the
okay.
person in the bottom left, is he a help or a hindrance to the community?
It depends on who you ask. For me, I can neither confirm nor deny. I will not answer that question. I like Austin though, because he will table me really hard and then tell me what I did wrong, and then I'll do a little bit better every time, hopefully. Which I did in this one, at least. I killed more. I didn't kill his chariots. I still haven't killed any of his chariot legions yet, but it'll happen. It'll happen. I still have dreams about that. Not good ones.
I'm gonna have dreams after watching this.
Yeah, you are.
Dreams or nightmares?
Yeah.
Both.
Images burned into your retina.
Yeah. Alex, did you have something you wanted to chime in on?
Oh no, I was just gonna say Rob is great at providing buying advice, since that's his main hobby.
Buying luggets right now. Buying luggets.
Accumulation.
And rhinosaurs.
Yeah.
I got 4 boxes of rhinosaurs on order.
Yes.
Do it, man.
Oh, nice.
All right. So we ran this event this weekend. It literally ended today. It was 5 rounds or 2 days. We played 3 yesterday, 2 today. We started the event with 26. That's a nice comment, Charles. Yeah. So we started with 26, and then we ended with 24, which is a solid number for a first time event. Especially as Mike mentioned, we didn't really put it out there only about a couple months ago. And we had a lot. I'm looking at the list, and the results are obviously posted on the Countercharge page. But out of 24 people, we probably had 12 out-of-towners, something like that.
It's a pretty good mix.
Maybe 10, right? And we had a good showing, of local players. We've got 2 clubs in town. We got the War Dogs, which is based out of War Room Hobbies, and then we have Blue City Brawlers, and so it was cool. We had a lot from both those clubs, but we had the representation from Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, obviously, Arkansas, Georgia. That might be it. Oh, yeah, that's it. I'm just looking at my list here. Yep, looks it. So, and we had some guys from Nashville that came over. So even in Tennessee, there was a good spread. So, one of the things that we did differently, and I know Alex, we were going to chat about this, is sportsmanship. So historically, I've always, in most places, there's 2 pieces to the sports score. There's the at the table judging, where you typically are going to get some questions. Was the person prepared? Did the person give me an army list? It's sort of like after action report. And then there's the favorite opponent votes, right? Like, who'd you have fun playing? Historically, I combined all those into a sports score, and we make that part of overall. This time I did something different, and I think I'm going to keep it. It's great. I pulled out the favorite opponent's votes, and that's its own thing. That's best sportsman. And what I kept was the stuff that's more in your control, which is, did you give the person a good game? Did you give them their army list? Did you afford them the full amount of time on the clock? The stuff that's a little bit more in your control. And I think the sports scores kind of reflect that you should, in ours were 6 points per game. You should get 30 points. If you didn't get 30 points, an anomaly happened. Something happened. And I think there was only 3 people that didn't get 30. So, and I'm kind of taking the approach there is kind of the Texas approach, which is everybody should be a good player, a good sport. And we're going to assume you are until you're not, right? It's the process is similar in a way to Texas, where they have what's called bad game votes, right? So they start you at a number, and then you lose points off of, infractions, if you will. So
from a place that doesn't really do that sports vote thing, I think that's a better objective way to do it. It takes away that whole favoritism thing that some people have issue with in sports voting. Who's the one that bought me a bourbon after the game? You know what I mean? So I think that's a fairer way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And
when you're ranking, it's okay. When you're ranking players, like, the recency bias is very large. Like, your day 2 games are going to be more in your head, and you're going to be more on the line and everything. So it could be like, it could swing things negatively, because game 5 could just be really tense because both of you are stressed out, or you could just you just remember day 2 games more. So then the people you played on day 1, you just don't even have on top of mind. So, and then there's the whole cult of personality around certain people.
There you go. I'm like dying to chime in on that, because I would attend a big event called Wapaka. It was 64 70 player event, and I won best sports one year, right? And I felt when I won it 2 years later, a lot of that was because I won it 2 years before. Like, they're like, Rob will give you a good game. It's going to be fun. He's going to be engaging. He's going to talk trash. And so I kind of, at the time, and even up until more recently, I didn't really see it. But we have experimented with lots of sports scores. So we've tried. You said the worst one is the hardest one to get is that one where you're like, rank your opponents 1 to 5 because of all the things you just said. Or we've tried, like, pick your favorite 2 or pick your favorite 1. That's what we did in this one. Pick your favorite 1. We've also tried, like, hey, you have 3 awards to give out, and 1 is for clean play, 1 is for gregarious play, and 1 is for altruistic play, right? And, like, you could pick, so you could sort of decide what was important, what type, because sportsmanship is not dissimilar from paint in terms of what makes a good sport. You ask 20 people, you're going to get 20 answers. Some people just want clean play. Some people want that banter. Michael bitch about playing a game. If you don't look him in the eye and chat him up, he's going to bitch about it, right?
I will.
Yeah,
I will.
So like, and that's in his mind, it's that interaction that he's looking for.
Well, looking at Mike, I'd get his best game vote. Whew, I'd be chatting him up across the table. Yeah, what a handsome rooster.
So we did something similar with best paint as well. So we did I say paint, a hobby score. So our hobby score includes paint, modeling, and theme. So there is some points awarded if you do make a fluffy list and your unit selection does support a theme. So there's some things there. But
is winning a theme, Rob? Because I think
no.
I just want to double check.
Yeah,
that's Alex's favorite theme. There's a reason he didn't travel.
Right. Yeah, we did have a few guys that said my theme is Defense 6. But so in that one again, we made a rubric, which I know Ryan Smith hates, but I'm lazy, so we made a rubric with those 3 buckets. And really, we try to make it accessible to people. When you look at the scores and you see people like Taylor with 7, in his defense, he just started. So, like, he just has a painted army. He doesn't have all the extras. He doesn't have conversions because he didn't have the time, right?
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Taylor.
I paint slow, and then also I tend to think, I could knock something out the next day. I'm tired tonight. I'll knock something out the next day. And then I've just built up more work for me because this past week I've done more than I've done in probably the past 2 months, to be honest. But I got what at least I felt was acceptable. I know I didn't fill out like full bases and stuff, but I felt like it was enough to at least show that I put some
effort in, right?
Yeah.
That's like the first tournament is kind of like that. You just got to get the stuff on the table for the weekend, and then you just that's the first step, and then.
I'm just going to keep on adding to what I have.
I think that's also important, though, because as a new player, Taylor, you don't find getting a 7 offensive in any way?
No.
I should know.
I realize how I
Go
do
ahead.
things and like how I paint and how I work, and I'm a big procrastinator. I mean, nothing I can do. I mean, there is something I can do about it, but I'm lazy.
Maybe tomorrow, right?
Well, one of the devious things that we did was we actually let the players fill out their own score sheet, and there's boxes to explain why did you get yourself 2 points versus 1 versus 0. And then Mike went behind them and said, "Okay, you gave," and I think you gave yourself like an 8 or 7. I mean, you gave yourself that score.
Yeah, I think I gave myself a pretty low score anyway because I was like, I want to at least be honest and like. Maybe I did that, and then you came by because I put like 2 on
and
things.
One more time,
first,
make sure we've got
and
it
then.
Right. Now you can set up 3 security questions.
Oh,
Who is
okay.
that?
I don't know what the.
Mike's multitasking.
You setting up my laptop? What's going on over there?
And
Apparently, Windows talks to you now. I clicked a button. It was not a good one.
I thought I was hallucinating for a second, but I lost my train of thought. What was I talking?
You were talking about filling out the score sheet.
Yeah, the score sheet because I was like 2s for what I thought I did, and then I remember Rob coming by. Oh yeah, you can put like 1 there because I was like either 2 or 0, and he's like, you put a 1 there. Okay, I'll put a 1 in something that I didn't feel like I did enough, but I put half of. I wanted to be as honest as I could, and then I knew they were going to come back and judge it anyway, and whatever they chose would be 100% fair because they're better judges of it than I am. So.
Yep. And Rob, from a TO's perspective, you made both those judging criteria for sports and paint available to them before the event.
Yes. So the 4 questions, I think, and I can probably bring those up if I can.
It was 4 questions. It was 2 2-pointers and 2 1-pointers.
Yeah, I can share my screen and show.
Sorry,
folks.
you were a bit muffled there through your chest hair. What'd you say?
Oh, my bad. Here, let me try this. Is this better?
I can't hear you over your chest.
All right, so these are the questions that we ask after each game. Was your opponent prepared for the game? Were all required game turns completed? That's a big thing to me. I want to make sure that people get the games in, right? Would you play this player again, right? If you say no, it's only a point, but it's a signal, right? And then would you play this army again, right? And like I said, we only had 3 people that got any kind of ding on any game. So by and large, I think it was pretty good. Maybe Austin and Taylor, I mean, you guys filled these out. What did you think about that?
I thought it was fine. Like I pretty much liked every game that I played. I didn't have any bad experiences with anybody that I played with. And then, I would play anybody no matter what. Like even if they had a cheesy list, because I would get frustrated. But I just want to
why
play.
don't we tell people what you were playing?
Okay. All right, Rob. I did take 3 mortars for the Abyssal Dwarves, and I did feel kind of bad about it. But
No, you didn't.
they they hit. They either hit really, really, really hard, or they don't hit at all, and there's no in between on that. And that's what happened. There were games where they hit really hard, and I've knocked something out first turn, or 2 things out first turn, and then there were some games where the entire thing they were gone, and then the flyers just come around and okay, yeah, snake eyes it, we're done.
Were you one of the 3 that got dinged for your list?
No. I honestly thought that maybe somebody would, just because of that. But I wanted to be as friendly as I could, but I didn't want to feel non-authentic about it. Because I love playing this like so much. Like
which is fair, right? I think part of the thing is when you have a risk, if you run a list like that, if you really enjoy it and you really want it, fine. As long as you understand that, there might potentially be a very minor consequence.
Yeah. Well, and especially
and 1 point out of 200 points is not a very,
Well, it's also if the expectation for the tournament is that it's like a gaming tournament as opposed to a soft score tournament, and it's the Southeast, so there's going to be shooting. So, it's
in my defense, there was a lot of terrain. Tell him, Taylor.
Oh, that desert table, Rob. I don't know who decided that desert table at all.
I did.
That was you. No comment. No comment. I hated that table.
Austin, what are your thoughts on terrain?
It was a little rough for me trying to get my chariots around, dodging all the impassable and all
You
the
mean your
hindering
2
terrain.
ogre legions of chariots?
Yeah. Because if I'm not going to win games, I'm at least going to have fun not winning the games.
I'm just trying to search for. Has anyone seen my tiny violin?
I think that's your shirt from last week, right? With all the tiny violins.
That's interesting.
No, but overall it was great. Had a lot of fun. Met some new faces. Some people that I probably would never have played their style of list. So there were a few that were just like eye openers for me. Learned some things about some lists that we have some guys in the Memphis area that are starting up some of those armies. So it's nice that I'll be able to give them some pointers on some of the cool things that I saw happen that ultimately led to my defeat. But it is what it is.
Well, I think that's one of the good things about having a tournament, with a growing scene is that it, even after a slow grow lead, you have a whole bunch of people like learning the game together, and then you bring in a bunch of people that they've never played against, who have more experience, who have a different perspective on the game, and then it just kind of like opens up your eyes. You're like, oh my god, like this game has so much more depth than I thought. Like after just because you get tunnel vision at the beginning, like you think this is the way I play this army, that's how that army plays, because that's what your little microcosm is doing. But then when you get the players from out of region or out of the city that you're in, it can really, spur a new wave of growth in the game.
I appreciate Go ahead.
I was looking at the photos that Rob took of round 5, and I thought it was funny because I'm looking at the tables, and I think every guy from Memphis played another Memphis player except for Taylor. And I thought that was really funny that we're all that close as far as like play, that we're all like all in the same spot, air quote, in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
I
good.
think I did play Thompson. I think that was the only, Alston too. I think those are the only 2 local people that I played actually, or people that I had played before. Than
Chris Gibney's
other
local.
locals
You
that I
just
hadn't
probably
played. Other people that were local that I hadn't played before.
Yeah,
but people that I had been playing with in the league and stuff like that.
Mike, maybe talk a little bit about running an event in a shop and what does that do to the. I mean, there's some negatives, right? You're taking over the store. And there's some positives.
No, I mean, I think it's good. I mean, we by far obviously used up a ton of space. I think but it's all about like obviously planning. Like luckily we have extra space. So one is, resisting the TO's urge to still set up tables when we know people are dropping. That was fun. But no, I mean, I think it was a good time. I mean, I think, it's a double-edged sword. We lost a lot of foot traffic, I think, because we didn't have, 8 or 9 tables for people to come in and get pickup games on. But what we find is we usually pick that up the next day, is that if people need something, they just come in. So I think that's great. Also, people just come in for the spectacle to see the event itself. So that requires you just to take pictures of the event, let people know about the event. And that in itself is great because I worked the counter pretty much the whole event, both days. And every single person was like, what are they playing? What are they playing? What are they playing? Right. So getting people excited about the game itself because they see that many people playing the game. And it was great that more than half people were actually locals, because we still have those guys that come in, they'll buy a random Kings of War thing and they'll be like, well, I know nobody plays this game. And I'm like, well, we have like 20 people locally, so just get on our Discord and you'll find a game. And they're like, are you kidding me? We just saw that with that guy that's been coming in the last 2 Wednesdays with Armada.
Yeah.
He came in with his wife and was like, does anybody play this game? And I'm like, well, I wouldn't have it on the shelf if nobody did. So it's good to have these events flowing through, especially every once in a while on a Saturday, because that's where you see a lot of your players who aren't maybe plugged in the community will just come and stop by and see what's going on. So I think it's good. Most of the events, like I said, it gives the shop a little bit of shot in arm for that particular game type. And then the way we set up this tournament was basically guaranteed sales, which I thought was good for us, right? So all of the entry fees went towards you being able to buy straight product. And then we were able to then do our prizes after that outside of the entry fees, which again is you have to take that hit, I think, because you're not renting out a space, right? So I'm not renting out a ballroom or something like that to run this event. And so take that thought in your head of how much that would cost you. And then, okay, now I was able to convert those into 100% sales. So to me, it's a win-win for us, for the community, and for our local clubs. So.
Yeah, so I put the results up here. We had 24 players that finished. Big congratulations to Jeff O'Neill. No one is surprised. The one thing that I'll just tell everybody, when the dude says he's going to punch you in the face, and you keep letting him punch you in the face, I mean, at some point you have to change your tactics, right? So we need to maybe you need to go watch that game that Keith played at Masters where he bum rushed him, right? And he got on him and he didn't give him, he was the aggressor. There was a lot of terrain on these tables, and he was still able to, because I mean, obviously bangets and wingets and trombones, they can get around that stuff, right? He had the 3 rock lobas, but those are almost there, like they're there for the bark. And if they hit something, that's great. But Jeff's going to keep winning with that list until someone decides they're going to beat him. So
or
and then
RC comes to their senses. But hey,
wingets are a bit much because of the fact that they're just so good in everything, right?
Well, they make like that. His list was good in second without wingets, and the fact that wingets are the worst designed unit in the game.
Well, the bangets aren't bad either, right? You got bangets, and the bangets they have the short range, so the first couple turns they may not be doing anything, but man, they can sneak up there and throw those bombs, and then you're like, oh. But best general went to Larry Essick. Basically, we had 2 guys that tied on 97 points, and it went to bonus points. And I should mention, we played a win-lose draw system with kill points to go +5, right? And so it's not attrition, it's kill points. Took a page from the Northern Kings playbook, which is if you lose a game and you have 5, you shouldn't go down from there. You should only go up. And then we had up to 6 points available for bonus objectives. And the way it worked is if you got 1 bonus, you got a point. If you took 2 bonuses, you got 3 points. And if you took all 3, you got 6. Because to be fair, the bonuses are not easy. There's usually one of them was a random thing, something that was very odd that's not really in your control. One of them was going to be to make you do something that's counterintuitive or counter to playing the correct strategy for that scenario. Like in Salt the Earth, it was destroy 2 tokens. Well, okay, you have to destroy 2 tokens to get a bonus. That's not necessarily what you want to do in that scenario. It might be. And then the third one was usually is something like hey, keep this alive or kill something. You give you something tactical to do in the game, typically about killing or keeping something alive, either in their list or your list. And Larry beat him out. And then Best Painted went to Dan Kamek. Man, it's a sweet, sweet army, dude. It's for those that haven't seen it yet, we'll try to get some pictures up. It's a rat.
Is it his new rat? Yes, new rats.
Yes, and it's got the best way. It's color changing armor, and he's got the Veerman models, right? And he's done a great job with using dead zone terrain. Actually, he's all in. It's great, and the plant work. It's a sweet army, right? And then no surprise, player's choice went to Billy Smith with his new army. It's
that thing was amazing.
It's stupid cool, right? Yeah. So for those that haven't seen it, it's basically a orc fest concert. I don't know how to describe.
It's like a metal concert.
Black metal themed orc army. It's amazing. Yeah.
So he's got a stage in the middle and blasters rocking out, standing on the thing with his microphone, and it's just great. He's got a Crudger on a wing slasher that's rocking a guitar, standing on the back of this flying beast. It's really great. And then, you know what? Let's give a shout out to Taylor, best sports. I mean, he got pummeled all weekend.
I did.
And 3 out of 5 of his opponents said, we like you. So that was awesome.
3 out of 5 ain't bad.
3 out of 5 ain't bad. And then,
I like every step ladder I've met as well. So
right, and not to be outdone,
you need all the help you can get, Matt. So we
have our newest countercharger, on the show with us, the shirtless wonder, the man of mediocrity.
Mediocre on the table, but exceptional in presence.
In the shirtless factor.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I don't know, guys. Maybe Taylor, maybe you could talk about your experience. I mean, it sounded like you had a pretty good time. Maybe this is your very first tournament, right?
Yeah, very first tournament for any sort of tabletop stuff. I was nervous coming in, but then of course, once you start playing games, it's just like the endorphins hit. Like, man, I had so much. No matter what happened, because I was like, if I can win one game, I will be beyond happy. Even if I don't win any games, and if I get something close, or if I have fun just playing, or if I can kill something or get something off the table that I want to get off, and just go for little goals is what I was going for. Go for little goals because I'm just starting, and then it'll just step up, and I'll start to get better and better and better. And I mean, oh my God. And the people, everybody that I met there, everybody that I played against, the community is so great from everybody that I've met. And it's just been one of the best weekends that I've had in a long, long, long time. I'm dead tired now, and I'm going to crash out after this, but man, what a hell of a weekend.
I think
it's so much fun.
I think new players can really take a lot of wisdom from your attitude, how you approach the weekend, like with your attitude towards like your hobby and like how you're approaching the game. Like, it's about having fun. It's about like setting realistic expectations for yourself, but like also pushing yourself to do something you haven't done before. So it's just that balance. You don't want to like make it too big so that you like stress yourself out, and you don't want to like put too much pressure on, because it's just about hanging out, playing games all weekend, and meeting a whole bunch of people. That's like the main reason you go to a tournament.
And then I've played with people that I've never played those armies before, because I've only played with the people who are playing in the league. And then there are a lot of things that I like, oh, what does this do? I don't know what this does. I've never seen this before. And I was like, oh, cool. Now I know. Now I'll remember, because that kicked my ass. And then I'll take that, and then I'll be like, okay, I know what that does. Nope, you don't need to explain it to me, or maybe I have to look it up. But I have everything basically memorized for what I have in my list now, or basically how all my stuff works. So I don't even have to look at it anymore. Okay, yeah, 21, 23. Oh yeah, that one's that. Oh yeah, that one's that. It's gonna go here. I know how much it moves. At first I was like asking. I was checking the book, checking the list, checking. Now I don't even barely have to look at it anymore.
Nice. Rob, I'm going to have to go in a sec. So can we do the final draw? Because for those of you it's Sunday night, it's Monday work day for me.
That's right. Well, let's do that final draw. So what are we drawing? We're drawing our last $100 voucher for
Mantic voucher.
Games. Perfect.
Yep. Okay, here we go.
And if you don't contact me, we're not going to contact you. So hopefully you have friends that are listening.
Brian Loren.
Ooh, Brian. It's a local.
Oh, Alex is going to be like, hey, I want to cut.
Split it.
No,
with
Brian's been working on his goblins for like years, and he finally has them fully painted this year. It's great.
Well, at least Brian.
More goblins. More goblins for Brian.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, Brian. Matt, thanks for joining us. I know you got to go. I figured we'll chat for a few more minutes, but thanks for coming on.
All right.
We'll see you
Thanks,
next week.
lads.
Yes, sir.
See you soon.
All right. Well, let's throw it over to the Shirtless Wonder. Maybe you were the counter charger. This was not your first tournament though, because I remember distinctly telling you you're going to go to Living Legends with us a few years ago, and you're like, "I'm game. Let's go." And that's been your expression and your reaction every time. You're always down. So maybe talk to us. This how many tournaments is this for you, and how did you find the event? You gotta unmute yourself. There, I can do that for him. There we go. There we go. Gotcha.
There we go. Yep. This is my second tournament with my own army, and my third total because of Living Legends. It was an eye opener. I got the ogres from a buddy, and I was playing Northern Alliance with a bunch of snow trolls, and everybody was like, "That's just not good." And did the one-day tournament a couple months back, and I did fairly well, but got the ogres, new project, bright and shiny. So I switched over to them, got everything painted up. Like Taylor, I'm a procrastinator in the fact that I decided to drop my army in my garage on Friday night before the tournament, and I had to repaint 2 hordes of hunters because they shattered into a million pieces. And so I literally was painting on Friday night into Sunday or Saturday morning, and I put my brush down and I was like, cool, I'm gonna try to get some sleep before the tournament. I laid down and my alarm went off to go to the tournament. And it was exciting. But no, overall the tournament was great. The people were great. Got to play 3 people that I hadn't played before. I did play 2 Memphis guys that I play fairly often, like Taylor on that desert table. But yeah,
fun.
It was a lot of fun. Tournament was great. Rob runs really clean tournaments. There's no challenge to the way Rob runs his stuff. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing. Like, it's not like, oh well, we're supposed to do this, but we could actually get away with doing this. No, this is how we're gonna run it. We're gonna do it this way, and it just makes everything go smooth. We don't have to worry about everything being up in the air like some tournaments are. I know a few that were like that I've been to but not participated in. So it's real clean, short, sweet, to the point, very straightforward, as long as you read the tournament pack. But
that's a good segue. We did specifically kill points, right? Because we wanted to make it a positive thing, and we had a few people didn't read the pack where it specifically says this is not attrition, this is kill points. It doesn't matter what you lose, what you kill. And the chart itself just had the different brackets, and it was all positive numbers. So we still had a few people though that still unfortunately filled it out as attrition. And by the time we caught it, I mean, we're not going to go back and change scores 2 rounds ago. So it is what it is, right? So lesson learned for me, I think we probably, to Austin's point, I do assume that everybody's read the pack and we're good. Probably spend a little more time on that just to make sure, especially given that we had now these weren't new players that did this mistake. They were players that were used to attrition, I think. So, because Taylor didn't mess it up, Austin didn't mess it up. So, but it's probably worth spending a little more time at the beginning just to make sure. The one thing that was funny is I made chess clocks mandatory, and I hardly saw chess clocks. But to be fair, it's a smaller event, and if two players want to play with no chess clocks, I wouldn't let Alex play without a chess clock. But yeah,
I don't know very many people that, given the option, would let him play without one.
I've never timed out in a real life game in my life, so I've gotten close. I've got within 1 minute twice. But...
I got within 1 minute today, twice actually. My 2 games today, where one was I think 1:42, and the other one was like 1:29 or something like that. I got down to, and I was like, okay, roll it.
That was awesome. Yeah. So, and Mike, and we didn't
chess clocks are good. You don't want any games. I was gonna say you don't want games ending turn 5. Like that's just
no. And so that's one of my other rules too. If God willing, I can help it, we're never gonna do that. Like even if I have to extend the round 10 minutes, and you can do that in a smaller event, right, where you can really watch and see the pace, because we run such a tight ship. I mean, we were done at what time were we done today, guys? 2:00.
We started awards at 2:03.
Right.
Oh wow.
So we're done at 2:30. So we had room if we needed to, right? And I told people, I said, look, you're not going to run. I mean, you're going to finish their games, and you're definitely both going to get the same amount of turns. That's just a pet peeve of mine that So, but anyways, what I was going to mention is that Mike made these great 3D printed Gibson guitar trophies. I wish I had.
I saw those.
They're great. He's got his. He got one.
Oh yeah. So show them off, man. Really cool.
Here.
Really cool.
That whole thing. And it's got a little plate at the bottom there.
It's awesome.
So it had whatever you got, all that. I really like it. And then they even added a little scratch. Did you just scratch it up there, Horner? With those little scratch marks on there? That
was totally meant to do that, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not layer lines.
Well, no, they're not layer lines. So what it was I was flirting with an ironing thing on the 3D printing, and what it did was it actually got so hot that it made it look like there was a bunch of wear marks on the thing. And after I did the first one, I was like, there's only 4 of them, and they look cool, so I'm not gonna change it. And I just kept printing away until I got them all done. So I thought they looked good.
I thought it looked good, like it had been used.
It was fun the whole weekend.
The next tournament in Memphis, you have to bring the guitar and put it right next to your army and be like, "This is me. What do you have?"
I'm a great sport. What are
That's
you?
How you
That's a little.
So that right there, right? So at Masters, when Devlin brought the Lone Wolf Trophy, it's like, okay, you're marketing for best sports. But it was funny all weekend to see Mike in the background. Every time you ask Mike, "Where's Mike?" He's working on the trophies. He's painting the trophies. He's spraying the trophies. He's putting the plates on the trophies. He, because he hand painted the picks it was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I saw him back there, running around and holding it up and painting while he's walking. Just walking back there around.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah. Walking around the store, painting, talking to people. Oh, what do you need? Okay, don't mind the fact that I'm holding a paintbrush and a little baby guitar.
Yeah, you
it's all
definitely
good.
Not stressed at all.
Little ukulele-sized Gibson. So I don't know.
This is
Taylor,
not a trophy.
I don't know what's next for you, Taylor. I mean, where do you go from here? I mean, this is your first tournament.
Adding more dwarves to the list, filling out all my bases, and adding some nice scenery stuff. Get a terrain crate, add some stuff. I want to get what my big project for the dwarves is going to be eventually is to actually get a display board up and get some foam, form it into a volcano mountain thing. You imagine a little bit of a higher grade middle school science project type of thing, but it's going to be painted up. I've never worked with resin or anything like that before, so I want to do that and have some lava coming off of it and stuff like that, cover it with texture, all that good stuff, and then go into Night Stalkers, which I'm already starting to build, and I've got a bunch of those built up, so I'll just be building. I work from home, so I can just be on the phone or whatever I'm doing, and I'm just
I see your paint station in the background. It's
Oh,
awesome.
my whole table back there is just filled with just crap, all hobby stuff. And then under it, and then my couch has basically been taken over by storage area because live in a small 1-room apartment and I don't really have much place to put it.
Austin, over to you. What's next up for you?
Gotta finish painting a few models before TNT, and then we're gonna hit the rep board. We're gonna just take it out, take the list out, battle test it a few times. Got a few buddies that I talked to that have multiple armies, so they can start running different armies. Because even in the about year and a half that I've played Kings of War, I have not played all of the armies yet by a stretch. So it's nice that we have a bunch of local people that do have multiple armies that I can test against armies that I don't have. And then, I'll just bother Rob as much as I can and be like, hey, bro, check this list out. And then he'll be like, it's trash. And I'll be like, okay, cool.
Not quite that bad. I'll just tell you that I'm not a fan of Ogre Legions, especially not 2 in the 2,000
Are you going to
point
stick
list.
with the same army two events in a row, Austin?
I'm not quite sure. See, the thing
I
with
figured
this
he'd already have
tournament
his
is
soul by now.
Rob is very terrain heavy. Like I think I counted the lowest table that I played on with the least was like 13 pieces of
No,
terrain.
get out of here. There was
No,
some
I
11
promise.
and 12.
Well,
But
I
here's the
didn't play
thing.
on those tables.
Here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, some of the pieces are small, right? So, but
Yeah.
yes. There might be 13 or 14 pieces, but like the obstacle might only be like 3 inches. So you really are putting 2 obstacles together to make 1 6-inch obstacle.
Yeah. It was real funny going around and asking Rob about his table. I'm like, so on this table, what I see is a total of 2 regiments can get out of their deployment zone without being hindered. And he's like, oh yeah, it's totally it to me. I was like, oh okay, well, cool.
To be fair, I used the map pack, the Lars Epic Dwarf map pack.
You did.
Put terrain down, and then what I did was, if the pieces weren't big enough, or they weren't I might throw an extra one or shift something, or maybe one table only had 1 hill and 3 pieces of blocking or something.
Extra
like that.
1, extra 5. It's all good. Like needed 3 more fences, needed a river, needed a wall.
I left the river table at home. People complained about it. What
was the tagline for like the tournament thing? Was you're always hindered in Memphis, and
that's
correct.
Very true.
It was very honest.
Sounds like the Northeast. Sounds like the Northeast.
Exactly. Mike, I don't know. You got any final thoughts kind of on the event?
No, I mean, I thought it went great. I mean, I really feel like just overall, we've had a lot of events at the shop, and one thing I've been very happy with is the very, very lack of drama that I've seen. So I thought it was even great, for this event, we had a large number of people, and I felt like each game was going really well. Obviously, there were some bumps here and there, but just a lot of positivity, and I think people had a good time, and I enjoyed having everybody at the shop, and I hope they all enjoyed themselves. And Rob, you're muted.
Rob, you're muted.
Of course I am.
Yeah.
That's like every day on a conference call, I get told that you're muted. But Alex, you got anything you want to final thoughts?
Sounds like it was a great event. Like I remember when I ran my first 2-day event. Was it 2 years ago now? It's like the same kind of deal. It was 26 people, half and half. Yeah, people from out of town, from in town, and it really just like spurred the community on, because it's a great way. Like I was saying, it's just a great way for all the people who've been playing in their close group, for years or 4 months, and to see how the greater community actually is.
Definitely want to. Matt was talking earlier about getting tabletop TO to maybe change some of the things so it matches for me, because one of the things that I would love to do is a completely paperless tournament where everybody signs up. The hobby rubric that might be a bridge too far. You're probably still gonna have to have paper for that, and maybe the sports. I don't know, but certainly you should be able to with tabletop TO put the scores in at the table, right? And so that's probably the biggest thing. We wasted a lot of time printing stuff that I wish there was a different way around it. But unfortunately, most of the folks when we were using Tabletop TO, but they weren't registered with Tabletop TO. So, we did have, we did not print out the matchups. We did put them on a screen, which is good. But like, I think there's a greener pasture for tournaments going forward. And I'd like it to be where there's no paper at all. I don't know how we get there completely, but I'm sure I'm going to think about it and try. So,
well, just having used Tabletop TO for the past year with all the UB tournaments, it's just a much better interface than War Score. I remember 2 years ago, I'm lucky that I had Corey Reynolds and John Van Noss there because they're like War Score vets. Because War Score just is just headache after headache.
I probably would be leery to run an event by myself if I was using War Score because all my other like Blue City Brawls, I'm like, okay, well, what am I doing here? How's this set up? Because I didn't use it all the time. Tabletop TO is, for those that haven't seen it, Matt did a great YouTube video on our channel, talks about Tabletop TO setting it up. And look, I'm living proof. It's dummy proof. I mean, you can make it work. And basically all I used it for was the gaming score. And then at the end, I added in the sports and the paint and just in a spreadsheet and just added them up for raw. But maybe that's something we can look at down the road to add to Tabletop TO and then make it one-stop short. But well, awesome guys! I really Austin, Mike, and Taylor, thanks for coming on and chatting with us about Kings of Memphis. And we'll Taylor and Austin, you guys have been on the podcast a few times, I'm sure. The Shitless Wonder as
a few times.
Yeah.
A few times.
So this a little background, Groke, is that we recorded with him a few times and it never really made the cut for whatever reason. Like I was lazy. I didn't want to, it didn't get used. And it wasn't until we had the league members, right? Maybe a couple months ago, we recorded something and that was the first time. But at that point, you probably had recorded 2 or 3 episodes with us. It just never seen the light of day. Good news is I still have that content, and good news, I'm still not going to make you suffer through it. So you're welcome. But thanks everybody for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this one. We went a little longer. If you're one of the winners, make sure you reach out, Mark, for the Westphalia prize draw. Make sure you reach out to Mark Zrinski with a DM on Facebook. If you're one of the 2, Nick's already contacted me. But if Donnie and who was the other person?
It's Brian Luren. Brian Luren.
There you go.
I'll message him tonight just to make sure.
Perfect. And then we'll get you the codes. And thanks everybody for participating in our 500th episode celebration. We're now on 500. We're up to 505. So sky's the limit.
Awesome.
Well, with that, let's adios, amigos.
Have
we'll
a
talk
great
to you
week.
guys next week. Yep.
And
Bye,
keep
everybody.
charging.
See you guys.
See ya.